Good morning. Well, that one went like everyone expected it to go, or did it? 5 out of 6 times that Manchester City have gone to Old Trafford, they've kept a clean sheet and they've been dominant. Just one Manchester United win since 2020 at home in the Manchester Derby. Under new management, Michael Carrick coming in, and it's United comfortably, comprehensively, that beat City by 2 goals to nil. Hello, everyone. Mark Donaldson alongside Janusz Michallik. Easy first question, Janusz. How did United do it?
Let's call it for what it was. It was a thumping of Manchester City, an absolute thumping. And I know you're going to ask me later on about, Manchester City, what went wrong, but it would be almost too easy, right? Because Manchester United made City look that bad. And that's as simple as that sometimes. It almost seems United showed how much they dislike playing for Ruben Amorim, right? I mean, you had everything, energy, quality. The best game I can remember. I even said that after, at halftime, but then you have to wait to see if they can confirm that. But, absolutely brilliant. It reminded you a little bit of Manchester United of old. You could feel the energy, not just from the players, but in the stands as well. So every aspect of the game. And oh, by the way, every decision that Michael Carrick has made ahead of the game was good, and there were plenty to question.
Yeah, and we'll get into those. We'll get into what happened at Old Trafford still to come. The team news, a lot of people said, well, one of the first things that Carrick will do is he'll bring Kobbie Mainoo back, and that's exactly what he did. And Mainoo starting in that defensive midfield role alongside Casemiro. Patrick Dorgu keeping his place on the left-hand side, Diallo chosen on the right, and it was Bryan Mbeumo playing in front of Bruno Fernandes. From a City perspective, interesting. They went with Alain and Kusanov at the back. And this was something that we wondered when they played in midweek in the Carabao Cup, how many changes would be made. His hand was also forced because of the number of injuries that they had. But if you're Manchester United pre-kickoff and you see that City back line, and there was no Mateus Nunes as well because Rico Lewis came in on the right side and Nathan Ake on the left-hand side. If you're a United player, are you looking at that back four and thinking, we could have a field day here?
Of course, but you still have to show the quality. You have to show the quality in the build-up. You have to show the quality to be aggressive. I mean, if you look at this team, the shape, right? Before this game, I said to myself, well, this is going to be on the players right now because Amorim is gone. Clearly, they didn't enjoy, the shape and the way he's played. You finally get, the back 4-4-2-3-1, simplify the game with organization, compactness, aggressiveness everywhere, right? So obviously, in the back, there were issues that Pep Guardiola couldn't do anything about for the most part, right? But still, you expect Manchester City to hold the possession, probe, do their thing, right? And I thought that maybe the approach from Michael Carrick was pragmatic because I said, here we go, once again, Šeško in form, not playing. Yeah, they're going to play timid on the counter just to get the result at Old Trafford, all that. That wasn't the case. It was high press from the beginning, aggressiveness in the midfield. I mean, they made Manchester City midfield absolutely non-existent throughout the entire match. That's not easy. Again, I don't remember last time, if ever, Manchester City unable to do almost anything in any part of the pitch. So again, we can dissect that, but I'd have to probably go. I mean, there wasn't one player that played well for Manchester City. Now, people can say Rodri because he had touches and all that. The whole game goes through it. Fair play, but, he didn't create anything, and neither did Manchester City. Not because they were bad players, because Manchester United were just too good in every aspect of the game.
I thought those stats are telling. 68% of the ball for City, only 32% for United. It's not what you have, it's what you do with it. And for that 68% possession, just one shot on target for City. But this was United's day, and it should have been their day after 3 minutes because it's a great delivery to the back post from a corner kick. And Harry Maguire back into the side today. He's got to score from there.
Yeah, and when you just look at the chances as well, I mean, that's how it started. But
Yeah.
I worried a little bit because Manchester United very often in these big matches, even when they were bad, and they've been bad for such a long time, and these massive matches, Manchester City, Liverpool, whatever, they do that, especially at home. The first 10, 15 minutes is good, then they let the opposition settle, and then all the issues that you think of when you think of Manchester United, come to the front. So this didn't happen. I mean, if you look at that chance, you look at Dorgu, remember, Donnarumma was standing on his head in this game, by the way, right? The Dorgu chance. Then remember Diallo shot and Casemiro follow-up. Great save by Donnarumma. I'm looking here. Mbumo in the second half, a great save there. And Diallo, even in the end, hitting the post. And that's not to mention, what was it, 3 goals? 2 very, very tight offs, 3 goals disallowed, right? So that's why I said it was a thumping in every which way. And the 68% seems a lot, but it didn't even feel that way. I never felt that City, even with that possession, they were going to do anything with that. So again, this is one of those games. And, Mark, we've been doing this for a long time. When was the last time that we even said about, 45 minutes from Manchester United with that quality? But that's what happened. Simplify the game.
Could have been different though. 10th minute. It's a challenge. It's a bit of a bad challenge as well. It's Dallo on Doku. Now we've got our own opinions, right? But ultimately, the only opinion that counts is that of the referee and the VAR. Let me just say this: Roy Keane on Sky TV in the UK, right? And you'll not meet a bigger Man United fan. He said, if I'd done that challenge, I would have been off, and so should Diogo Dallo. So here's the deal from VAR. A glancing blow didn't have intensity or force. That is how they're justifying that only being a yellow. It's a red, Janusz.
It's an absolute red. It was, all of that, and we can, dissect that, but it's endangering the opponent. I mean, he knew what he was doing. There's a little touch, I think, I don't even know, maybe slice of the ball, but I mean, because of that, a bad touch. If this was a little bit tighter, you can say, well, it's difficult to stop your momentum. But anytime you're showing studs this high, and that's knee level, right? That's endangering the opponent. You can't say, well, the force wasn't there. If that leg was, this is as red as it gets, and Manchester United were lucky, but those decisions come. I hope we're not going to sit here and says, well, if that happened, the game would have gone a different way. Maybe, we never know. It surely would have changed. It would change probably Manchester United approach to that. But I still think if you look at the goals and how they play on the counter, how aggressive they were, this was their day. And these things do happen. And even though I think it's a red card, I don't want this one to take away from what we saw from Manchester United, because it's been ages since we've seen Manchester United play this way.
And neither it should, because the narrative is, as you quite rightly say, an absolutely thumping win for Manchester United. And if they could have only one complaint, it's probably that the scoreline doesn't really reflect their dominance. A couple of offside goals, Ahmad and Bruno, and then right at the end, Mason Mount. But it's goalless at half-time. Man United were excellent. They were compact. They played with a great intensity. And they'll feel like not just that they were in it, that this was a very winnable game at half-time. And they got their goal 20 minutes into the second half. This high line from Manchester City, they were caught a few times today. It was a simple goal. It was Bruno Fernandes. It was Bryan Mbeumo. It was a lovely finish, but it comes about from a City set play at the other end. It was the perfect transitional goal for Manchester United, Janusz.
Yeah, it was Mbeumo and Fernandes, right? Mbeumo initially to Fernandes, and that wonderful run from the best player on the pitch, bar none. Although I'll get to another one. Hopefully we'll get to the, we've talked about center backs from Manchester City, but Lisandro and Maguire played incredibly well. But, that run and the setup was absolutely wonderful. Manchester United, their best on the counter, but, there was more to it than that, right? Because we've seen Manchester United being timid. How many games have they lost at Old Trafford not being themselves? Today, that balance was everywhere, right? They could possess the goal. They were always dangerous. Even when they had possession, they were very quick to recover the ball in Manchester City's half. And when they had a chance to counter, they were deadly, as I've said. So many good chances created, couple goals disallowed because of that, balls over the top. They've taken advantage of everything today that Manchester City had to offer. It wasn't much defensively. I'll give Pep that, but I mean, he made all the changes. O'Reilly came in, if you remember, in the second half because that was an area of concern. And I think Diallo took him one-on-one, and he got a red card within 2 minutes, I think, of the second half as well. So, yes, not a lot of choices defensively there. But, Manchester City, as you said, 68% possession. They very often don't rely on defense because they get the job done in the attack. But today, Pep probably regrets not making some changes early or better choices because Foden, Bernardo Silva, non-existent. By the way, because I don't know if I get to it, I would have put Reinders in there before Cherky.
Yeah, he didn't really have anything in the middle of the park today, and Rodri was just swamped by the opposition. You mentioned that yellow card for Nico O'Reilly, another fullback booked after 75, Rico Lewis, and just after that, it was a player who'd just come on. It was Matheus Cunha who came on for the goal scorer, Brian Mbeumo, 5 minutes after the opening goal, and then 5 minutes later, it's 2. It's Dorgu from Cunha. It's a lovely goal, this one.
Yeah, Rico Lewis sleeping. Again, O'Reilly beaten, even though he was supposed to plug that side of the pitch. It was, once again, excellent. That's exactly what you have to do in a wide area. You've got to win your battles one-on-one, which happened exactly that way. And Cunha's role, right? All those decisions ahead of the game. Benjamin Šeško, I'm starting to wonder a little bit, Mark, if maybe there was something wrong with him because he never came on the pitch, right? You don't want to kill momentum of a player like Benjamin Šeško, who scored 2 goals, I think, before that in 3 goals in the last 2 games before. But Cunha, I was surprised that he wasn't out there. I was talking to people, I was reading people that I respect, and says, yeah, he hasn't been the best. I've seen nothing wrong with Cunha for the most part in terms of his play. I think he's had like 3 goals in the last 7 or 8 games, and I think he's been important. I think he showed a little bit of leadership. Remember, Bruno Fernandes was out for a couple of games, but that was a big call. And, here he comes in, and look at the role Cunha played when he came in. Contributed a goal. That last goal that was disallowed as well. That was an excellent pass, slight offside there as well. So, again, Michael Carrick, I thought every decision he made, the controversial one, was wrong. Turns out he was right.
Saturday, the 17th of January. Prior to Michael Carrick getting this job, this date was circled in his diary. He was playing golf in Thailand for ex-footballers, raising money for charity, having a good time, enjoying themselves. Sounds great, doesn't it? But then the call comes. We want to meet you. Michael Carrick ends up getting the job. Now, he's been interim boss before, and he did well. I think he started with a win against Villarreal, had some tough fixtures, and he's got tough fixtures here. He's got Arsenal next. However, we've seen this movie before. We've seen Man United go to an interim boss who then does well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then they give him the job. Now, it's far too early. We're not even going to go there yet. We've had our say about the summer or whatever. But what lessons can Manchester United learn from the last time an interim boss, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, came in and had a spell that was decent? What should the hierarchy be looking for with regarding to how they judge this between now and the end of the season under Carrick and co? And then, as far as a permanent boss is concerned, and appointing that.
Familiarity and shape and all that. I mean, that's important. The simplicity of what United and Michael Carrick did. I mean, this can be very much a catalyst. That's for sure. It can be a foundation. But as you said, we have to see if Manchester United can replicate that. I think that brings them to 4th place. I think there's going to be a massive motivation now for Manchester United because, as we've said, I mean, this is for the most part a poor Premier League season if you look at the top teams, right? I mean, it's wide open. Look what's happened to Liverpool. Look what's happened to Spurs, Newcastle, although they're kind of moving up a little bit. Chelsea are all over the place as well. So this is an opportunity. This is a massive opportunity right now to build that foundation for the next season. And, it's way too early, but they need to know the DNA of Manchester United. And I still think that's always going to be 4 in the back, right? That 4-2-3-1 or variation of that in a 4-3-3, because, with Cunha and Šeško in form right now, it's not going to be all that easy to fit all those pieces, especially in front. But I think that they'll give it a time. If Manchester United are playing this way in most of the games for most of for the rest of the season, I think they'd be hard pressed to look past Michael Carrick. But they'll pay attention because they have to. World Cup's coming. There's going to be some big names coming on the scene. But I think this is not the moment to say what sort of a manager they're going to look for, right? It has to be, you have to look back and see what is the best of Manchester United. And then as a manager, forget about your ideas for a second, because every manager comes in with these grand ideas of how they want to play or how they've played in the past. I think they have to look at what was Manchester United at their very best. What do the fans enjoy when they come to watch Manchester United, right? And this was an example, and I'm not saying that Michael Carrick is the man, but this was an example of Manchester United at their best. We don't care who you are. You come to our place from the get-go, and throughout the 90 minutes, you're going to play on our terms. And I think this is what they're going to look at. Not the priorities of the managers and his philosophy necessarily, but the philosophy of Manchester United.
When he was appointed as caretaker, he was then replaced by an interim who was Ralph Ranieri, and it was just a mess. This is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michael Carrick. Ole's body of work was in Norway with Molde, a smallish club. Michael Carrick is coming in. I'm not trying to change the narrative here, and suddenly he's the Messiah, and he's going to come in. He's going to take them to fourth in the table, because I think the top three is kind of locked off right now. But does his body of work at Middlesbrough, where he had that really good season, give him more of a chance that this interim boss could be made a permanent boss, or should his name, the way that most people think, go into the mix, regardless of how he does this season, especially if he does well? And then you see who else is available and all the World Cup managers.
No,
is that the way it should be done?
I wouldn't look at Ole right now. I mean, let's just wait. I mean, if I look at Ole and Michael Carrick, they've obviously worked together. I assume they're on the same page. Why would you look at Ole if you have? I mean, it's much of muchness. These two have the idea of the club, know the DNA of the club. This is just one game, but I can't imagine that Ole would all of a sudden be that much more of an improvement, say Carrick, right? So yeah, you look at him, but he wouldn't be my first choice. Been there, done that type of situation. And I would just wait. Let's not get overexcited here. It's just one game. You knew the players would be up for it, not just because of a new manager, but it's obviously a derby. That energy, that momentum is going to have to be replicated, because you and I can be sitting here next week and we're going to be talking total opposite, that this game was a waste of time, right? Everything that they've gained from this game, maybe goes away. So let's just wait. But I don't think this is a conversation about Ole right now.
No, it's about Michael, not about Ole. It's about Michael Carrick.
Oh, okay. Let's just wait. I think, he's still inexperienced. No matter what happens for the rest of the season, it's still short of what we think about Manchester United, as you've said, right? It's going to be just the Champions League. It's just going to be the beginning. And if this progression or progress continues, then why not give it to Michael Carrick, right? Why overthink it? They've done it so many times. How many managers have we had now? How many great names have we had? How many great technicians, tacticians? Ralph Ragnick, you mentioned. I mean, he's done it all. Coach, director of coaching, everything, right? So all of a sudden, you're going to come up with someone that guarantees you that Manchester United are going to be back to win the Premier League, which is the ultimate goal. That's where they belong. No, let's just wait. Right now, it's Michael Carrick's team. He showed in his first game something that I did not think was possible. He's brought the shape and the system back. By the way, he's brought Maguire, who, how many times have we made fun of him, right? Who played a tremendous game. And oh, by the way, once again, Lisandro Martinez, if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes, player of the match. A player that I think not only was good today, but since he's come back, and he was out for a long time, a player that I think of as just chaos. I don't know what to expect from him, who's been consistent in the last few games, and today he was absolutely excellent on another level. So you once again, you looking at a spine of the team, not even, even Mainu, right? Who obviously Amorim didn't fancy. It was a very good game. It wasn't special, but it was something what was needed, right? Because the center of the pitch has been an issue for a long time. Even Casemiro looked all right, although that's an area that has to be improved and improved quickly.
Finally, consistency for Manchester United, because I want to end on Manchester City and their issues today and where they go from here and whether the title's over. But to end on Manchester United, you have to go back to October for the last time they had consecutive league wins. However, not being in Europe is going to help Michael Carrick this time because he doesn't have a midweek to worry about. He can keep them fresh, and it's Arsenal next. There's been too many results like this followed by a total pancake in the next game. What do United have to do as far as intensity and team selection and everything is concerned at Arsenal?
You just said it. If he can keep this intensity, and that's not going to be easy, as I said. This is Derby. I mean, for games like this, I've seen United get up for a game or two during the season last few years. So just keep that up. I think this is a new lease on life. These players are breathing, finally saying, finally, we're just doing what we want to do. The shape and all of that, right? There's something positive to talk about. People in town are going to be talking about it. Fans are going to be all over that. I think, coming to training is going to be a little bit different. They're going to look at the place in the table and they're going to say, you know what? Now we have goals. Champions League next season may look brighter, right? It's just one game, but if you're a player, it changes everything. That sort of performance changes everything. So his biggest job right now is, I'm sure he's saying that, boys, thank you very much. This was absolutely wonderful. We must do this over and over and over again. Simple as that. You said it. Intensity is number one.
Yeah, it's key. City could end the weekend third. Villa play tomorrow at home to Everton. You fancy them to win that, even if they get a point. They go above Manchester City. It's interesting you were talking, Janusz, about the quality of the league. Manchester City, 9 of their 22 games they haven't won. Villa, 8 of their 21. Manchester United, 13 of their 22. Liverpool, 11 of their 21. They haven't won. However, City could drop to third. And with Arsenal today at Forest in the late game, if they win, more importantly, they could go 9 points clear.
Yeah. They lost the chance for the title, right? I mean, you can easily say that they never had it, but I think they were close enough. Look, you're talking about 3 straight draws and a loss right now. If Arsenal beat they play Forest, right? Today, yeah, that's over. We've talked about Manchester City maybe getting a little bit better, right? Remember a couple of weeks ago, we've talked about City's ability to go on these great runs. Well, they are on the run, but not the right one. That's for sure. So look, they're going to get probably Guehi. They're going to recover some players. We're still going to see Manchester City from time to time playing wonderful football. I mean, they haven't forgotten how to play. But this is a critical time right now. Arsenal, of course, have a lot to prove, but they're winning games even when they're not playing well. They're doing what Manchester City have done for years. They're doing it what Liverpool has done last season, right? I talk to Arsenal fans and they're still not happy. Last few games, maybe not the way they've played in the beginning of the season, and all that, but they're getting the job done. So they're staying focused. I think that progress over the last 5 years, whatever it's been, it's been helped by what happened today. If they beat Forest, I mean, if they lose, we're back to kind of status quo because 6 points are 6 points, right? I mean, Manchester City are certainly good enough if they recover players to put up a fight. But this is, I mean, come on, at this stage, 3 draws and a loss can't be winning championships like that.
How can Manchester City strengthen their squad? Guehi coming in, Semenyo coming in, yet look weaker. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, again, I don't want to take anything from Manchester United. Manchester United made them look bad. Man City was trying every which way, right? I mean, you've talked about the possession. There were moments in the game where it looked like they settled, but yet throughout the whole game, I never felt I saw once Manchester City at their best, not even for a minute or two. It was just surviving and being second best in every aspect of the game. I don't know what they had. One shot on target. I don't remember. I forgot to check in the end, but I think towards the end it was something like that.
City had one shot on target.
Yeah, City. And they've lost just about every battle. First ball, second ball. I mean, absolutely nothing. And this is just down to Manchester United. Because looking at this and say, what happened to Manchester City? Sometimes the opponent comes at you at a level that you don't expect at first. Then you think you can fix it, and you find out time and time again that you just can't cope with that energy, with that intensity, with that quality, with that compactness, with the will to win every ball all over the pitch. That's what Manchester United did to Manchester City. I've been in games like this where I know that we can do so much more, that we have so much more quality, but the opponent just says, not today.
And today was United's day. And for now, Manchester is red.